Hello and welcome back to the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. I'm Isaiah. I'm here to break down this weekend's NASCAR race at Phoenix. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great one. NASCAR has a whole new package in store. We've got a whole lot to talk about. DraftKings Sportsbook, they've got a great promotion that you can take advantage of to get some extra bonus bets for this race. And you can get access to my full betting card for the weekend via Odd Shopper Insider Access. We've got a whole lot to get to. I'm really excited. Let's jump into the race itself. So it's the United Rentals 500K. So it's 500 kilometers, not 500 miles. And it's at Phoenix, which is a 1 mile flat oval. So there are a couple other tracks like this on the circuit. We've got New Hampshire, we've got Martinsville, and we've got Richmond. Those are the comparator tracks, and we're going to lean on the most when I'm looking at drivers who I think can succeed this weekend. The other thing to know is that I just said we've got a new short track package. What does that mean? It means that there's lower downforce, which means that hopefully the racing product should be more competitive than what we saw at short tracks last year, which was not so competitive. But before we get into the picks, I want to talk to you about DraftKings. So they have a cool promotion going on that's winding down now. So you're going to want to take advantage of this quickly. You can bet $5 to win $150 in bonus bets if your money line wager wins. Obviously, you can't bet on a money line in NASCAR. That's not how the sport works. But you can bet on a money line in college basketball. And Lord knows there's college basketball for days going on right now. It's March. So tomorrow, March 9th, you've got Wichita State. They're almost a 4,000 point favorite. Not 4,000 points, but minus 4,000 favorite. So you're going to want to bet on them against Tulsa tomorrow. You'll get your $150 in bonus bets if you haven't registered at DraftKings. And there you go. That's what you can bet on NASCAR this weekend. So let's get into the picks. As you can tell, it is a Ford week. I've got the blue lights. I've got the Ford hat. We are going to start off with Ryan Preece. Obviously, we're starting with our underdogs. I don't usually do this. These are my favorite bets this weekend. Ryan Preece has a modified background. He's from New England. He ran at New Hampshire's and he ran at Stafford. That means that he's used to short, flat ovals and he's used to the low downforce packages that they use in the modified series or the Whelen Modified Tour. So that's an incredible leg up that he has on the field, especially because the drivers don't have a ton of experience in the new low downforce package. The other thing to note is that Ford led 90 or not 90, 79.4% of the laps in the spring race and 99.4% of the laps in the fall. So that's dominant. No one else really did anything here except for Ford's. Stewart-Haas accounted for 18% of the laps between Chase Briscoe and Cole Custer. So even Preece's team did pretty well, even though most of the laps were led by Team Penske back there. So he also looked great in the Clash. Preece almost cashed our 50-1 ticket for the race at the LA Coliseum. The LA Coliseum, short, flat oval. Although it's much smaller than Phoenix, it's still a short, flat oval, which means that we're going to target Ryan Preece here. You can get the 50-1 at DraftKings. That's better than the 45-1 you'll find at Caesars, and it's the same as the 50-1 you'll find at FanDuel. I like this price. We're basically getting Preece at the same price we got him for the Clash. This race is going to be a little bit more competitive, obviously because it's points paying, and if you get a win, you get into the playoffs. But I think it's a great bet. Also, if the top 10 market at FanDuel, because the ones at Caesars usually have an incredibly high hold percentage, if the markets for Ryan Preece to get a top 10 open at 2-1 or longer at FanDuel, you're going to want to lock that one in immediately. Preece is a great bet to get a top 10. He's going to turn his season around after his slow start. Our second pick, we're sticking with the Ford theme. We're also sticking with the modified theme. We're going to go with Preece's teammate and the number 10 Ford for Stewart-Haas Racing, Aric Almirola. Although Aric Almirola is not from New England, he does still have a modified background. He raced them back at New Smyrna Speedway, which is next door to Daytona, when he was coming up in the as a driver. He also it's less significant to his background than Preece's was because Preece was pretty much just a modified driver. Almirola converted to other series as he grew up, but it still had to an impact in his career, and we can sort of see it through his record. He scored a massive upset win in the Cup Series at New Hampshire in 2021, and he also performs incredibly well at other short, flat ovals. If you look at his best two tracks where he's made at least 3 starts, they're Phoenix, where he has an average finish of 14th.4, and Richmond, where he has an average finish of 14th.9. So that's not necessarily race winning speed, but keep in mind that he wasn't always in competitive equipment when he was racing at those tracks. He was racing in a pretty bad number 43 Chevrolet for Petty Enterprises back in the day. So, or Richard Petty Motorsports is I think what they were called then. So yeah, he's another solid play. Again, he's like Preece. I would prefer to get him at 2-1 or longer to win it, to get a top 10. The outright market at 65-1, which you're not going to find at DraftKings. You're going to find it at FanDuel. He's at 50-1 at DraftKings, so you can get an extra load of value at FanDuel. That still has enough value for me. I'm willing to buy Aric Amirola there at 65-1. If he opens at 2-1 or longer to score a top 10, I'm going to slam that as well. So those are my top 2 favorite bets of the weekend. Before we get into the last pick, I want to talk about Odd Shopper Insider Access. So a couple of notes. Number one is that I post all of my picks for NASCAR in the Insider Access before anything goes up online. So before my article, which I have another Ford driver in there that you can read about if you go to our website, and before the video, which is coming out, I think Wednesday night, maybe it's coming out on Thursday morning, you can get access to my full betting card for the weekend. You'll also get access to any updates I have to the betting card. So I've literally left a blank spot this weekend because I need to see practice and qualifying in order to make another pick because we haven't seen the packages. I'm only getting action on drivers who I think are really, really mispriced, like Preece and Amirola, or drivers who I think are favorites anyway, like the guy in the article and the next guy we're about to talk about. The awesome thing about Odd Shopper Insider Access is that you can get your first week of access for 50% off, and then it's just $19.95 after that. So if you come in and you make money, well, why not keep winning with us? And if you lose money, well, you're not going to, but you only paid $9, so it's not that big of a deal. Last pick for this race, Christopher Bell. So I've already talked about the other Ford I have on my card, but Fords not great to start the year. They did not run well at Auto Club, and they did not run well at Las Vegas. So there's a genuine question as to whether they've lost their edge. That shouldn't concern you too much because Phoenix is a much different type of racing, especially with the low downforce package. But it concerns me enough where I'm going to get one driver who is not in a Ford before qualifying. And it's going to be Christopher Bell, who won at New Hampshire last year and who won at Martinsville last year, two of the comparator tracks for Phoenix. Although if you dig into his Phoenix resume in the Cup Series, it's not super impressive. You're not digging far enough if that's as far as you're looking. You have to look at what he did in Xfinity as well. So in his Xfinity Series career, he has 5 starts, he has 1 win, and he has 3 top 5s. That's made all the more impressive when you consider that 2 of the 2 finishes that were not top 5s, he led a ton of laps in. Those were actually his most recent 2 starts here, and over his last 3 starts, which includes that win, he's led 42.3% of the laps in the Xfinity Series in his last 3 starts at Phoenix. That is absurd. That is similar, just not quite as dominant, as to what he did at New Hampshire. So this is a pretty similar situation for him. We can get him at 10-1. I'm all over that price. 10-1 is a great, great price for Bell this early in the week, especially because he qualifies really well. He had the 3rd best average starting position of full-time drivers last year at 10.1, I think is the number. I think it's also tied with Ryan Blaney. So let's recap. Pick number 1, Ryan Preece, 50-1. Pick number 2, Aric Almirola, 65-1. We're going to get actions on Fords. The Blue Ovals are going to do well this weekend. And if they don't do well, I think the favorite to win this race has to be Christopher Bell, especially if he has a strong run in qualifying, which means that the 10-1 that you can find at DraftKings may not be on the board by the time the race day comes around, which is why we're posting this video so early in the week, so that way you get the best number possible. All right, it's been another awesome weekend. I'm looking forward to another great race. Phoenix is a great track. I'm going to have a blast this weekend. Let's make some money. I'm Isaiah. I'll be here next week. Leave a like if you thought this video was useful. And I will see you next week.